Hey everybody, hope you all having a good day, and obviously welcome back to my YouTube. So, today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to do more of like a top 5, except this is top 4, for the most important things to get good in Age of Empires 4. And I have 4 things here that rank from most important to least important, but obviously all of these you need to have a good grasp on to be good at this game. And I think the idea behind this video is that if you can understand all of these things at a high level in the game, you have the real potential of being like a very, very good player in this game, because essentially these are the most important aspects of the game, and without these aspects, without understanding these aspects, you're gonna have a difficult time. And the number one thing that you have to understand to be good at Age of Empires 4 is spending your resources and building villages. Now, this might seem simple, it might seem, oh, just spend your resources, just build villages, and yes, but also, it's so important. Because if you have more units than your opponent, most of the time you're just gonna win because of that, right? And you can kind of think of building villages somewhat like, you know, eating in real life. If you don't eat, you know, you're not gonna go very far. Um, you're not gonna continue to grow throughout your life, you know what I mean? And that's just the reality of the game, is that if you're not consistently producing villages, you are making the game way harder for yourself than it needs to be. And again, this might seem like an obvious thing, and it is, but sometimes the most obvious things are the things that you need to be doing. Alright, so that's number one. And with that, you have to be spending your resources. Now, again, easier said than done, but one of the most important ways and things to do when spending your resources is just make production. Make, you know, your landmark production, make stables, make barracks, make arch ranges. If you find yourself not spending your resources in any capacity, drop down a production building. If you ever find yourself with 1,000 gold, get an upgrade. If you ever find yourself with 1,000 food, build 5 units, you know what I mean? If you have 10 units in queue in a stable, or, you know, let's say you have 10 longbows in your council hall, drop an extra archer range. You know what I mean? You should never have, and a good rule of thumb is never have more than 3 units in queue for a production building. Because generally in this game it takes quite a while to build units outside of like the council hall, right? So a good rule of thumb is never have more than 3 units in producing at a time inside a production building. Villagers, it usually goes the same way, but you can have more if you feel like you're forgetting, right? Let's say you're forgetting to build a villager. Just queue up 3, queue up 5, because they're so important, right? Just make sure that you're always producing. Always spending resources, always producing. It's so important. Alright, the second thing in the game is scouting. Now this is, you know, I'm not giving you guys super exciting things to go over here, but scouting is necessary. One of the most important things in the game. Hands down. Especially in Age of Empires 4. Because you can get so much information from scouting. It's absurd how much information you can get from scouting. Just based on the scouting information I have right now, what do we see? Full on wood, council hall, nobody on gold, barrack here, villagers here. So it tells me he has nobody on gold. He has one production building, essentially 2. Council hall counts as 2 archer ranges. Stable, people on gold, people on food, people on wood. So it tells me he's not getting upgrades. He's clearly focused on production right now. This is a lot of production buildings to have at the start of the game, so he's rushing me, right? And yes, it's easy to kind of figure out what he's doing if you kind of sit in the moment and think about it, but it's really, really important. And because it tells you how to react to your opponent, right? If you don't know how to react to something, then probably not gonna react to that correctly, right? Pretty simple, but very, very important. Now I'm just doing a top 4, top 5 list for now. But I will break scouting down into more important aspects later on in some video at some time. I just haven't really got around to it. It's generally a kind of a boring aspect of the game, but super, super important. Like, if you're not scouting in the game, and I find a lot of, like, lower elo players don't do this as much, you're not taking full advantage of your scout, you're not taking full advantage of the vision that you can be getting, the resources you can be getting, and, I mean, it's just a game, but you can be doing so much better, right? If you know what you're up against. Alright, so scouting is number 2. Again, I'm probably going to go into a deeper guide on scouting later on, but let's move on to the next topic for now. So, the third topic is unit composition. Now, unit composition I like to think of as a cool aspect of the game, and it is. It's cool to winning games in general. And it might seem obvious, but you're spending so many resources into units, right? More than you're spending into your economy. Like, this is 150, I'm gonna spend 150 on just 2 archers here. I'm gonna obviously build more and more. So, if your unit composition counters their unit composition, right? Then you're saving so many resources by just default countering your opponent's unit composition. You don't have to micro well, you don't have to do anything, you're just default countering their composition. And yes, micro is important, but the number one step is to make sure that your unit composition is good against your opponent's unit composition. Micro comes after that. And I can't stress this enough, but unit composition, I think, is one of the most underrated aspects of Age of Empires 4 by so much. You need to be making sure your unit composition is always countering your opponent's unit composition. And if it's not, you need to change it immediately. Because counters in this game, generally, I don't want to say are heavy counters, but they kind of are. Like, if your opponent has men-at-arms and you have archers, it's gonna go very, very poorly, right? If you have Expos and they have men-at-arms, you're gonna be up like 4,000 destroyed value, right? 4,000 resources, that will get you to Imp, right? So this is really, really important stuff. And you can see here, unit composition and scouting goes hand in hand together. I scout that he has a Barak and Council Hall. I try to fake out going for the stable. I do kill a scout, that's why he doesn't have a scout at the moment. I'm trying to bait him into going Spearman. But you can see that my unit composition generally counters his. If I'm just going pure Archer, it's going to counter Spearman Archer, right? So, I'm even dropping a second archery range. I drop a Blacksmith soon. So I'm really, really trying to make sure I have the scouting to know that I'm countering my opponents, right? And at the same time, I'm taking advantage of my scouting, and I'm actually countering his composition. At the same time, you can see that my scouting, knowing that his army is here, is allowing me to be aggressive on his side of the map. So again, I'm saying it again, but unit composition, scouting, hand in hand, super, super important. Alright, so let's move on to the fourth, and the final idea that you need to know to be really, really good at this game, and that is understanding your civ and your opponent's civ, and how to win. So, this is generally a little bit harder, and it's understandably a little bit harder. There's now 18 civs in the game. Understanding your civ might be easy if you've played that civ quite a while. It might be more difficult if you don't have a great, if you're just new to the game, right? Either way, it is what I would consider one of the four core aspects of the game, is understanding your civ and understanding your opponent's civ. Because if you don't understand your civ and your opponent's civ, it's hard to, number one, play to the strengths of your civ. And you can see as Mongols, I'm playing to the strengths of having the deer stones with my archers, having the Khan's hunter for the extra range, forcing him to like kind of go longbows first, and then I'm gonna go Kesheks afterwards, so he won't have a great counter to that. And yeah, so number one, you have to know your civ strengths and play to that to be able to win, because understanding your civ is so important to utilize, you know, the characteristics that they have. Civ identity is really important in this game. Number two, obviously you have to know your opponents, how to abuse their weaknesses. English have low mobility. I'm trying to raid them, I'm trying to harass them, I'm trying to force him to attack me, right? And if you don't understand your civ and your opponent's civ, it can be difficult knowing... Yeah, it's just difficult knowing how to take advantage of the weaknesses and the strengths that you and your opponent have, right? I mean, that makes sense. The thing I'm struggling with is kind of explaining to you every single civ in the game. I feel like that's not necessary at the moment, but maybe in the future I'll go through like 5 civs, their strengths and their weaknesses or something. I don't know. Maybe that'd be a good idea. But I think for now, it's just important that you guys know that this is a cool aspect to being really good at the game. You have to kind of know this. Yeah, so more of like a top 4 kind of top... I mean, top 4 is a little weird, but it is. Top 4 kind of tier list or number. But I don't want to go too in-depth on these topics in particular, because at some point I would ideally like to... The ones that are harder to grasp, harder, you know, a little bit more deeper, like unit composition, skelding, civ strength and weakness. I'd like to go into those each individually a little bit deeper with their own video, but for now I think this more than covers what I've been looking for, and hopefully what you guys have been looking for. So for now, that's it guys. Take care everybody.